The United States imports nearly everything. The nation that built a strong economy on manufacturing now exports very little. One new thing that is being exported from the United States is a foreign policy of subversion and perversion. Having nearly wrapped America in the rainbow flag of the homosexual agenda, the Obama administration has now begun the process in Latin America and the Caribbean. In 2013, President Obama appointed James Walter Wally Brewster, who is openly homosexual, as U.S. ambassador to the Dominican Republic. He was not well received. As Neil Nicandroff wrote for the online journal of the Strategic Culture Foundation last week, the people of the Dominican Republic, who are traditionally conservative in everything related to family life and the raising of children, greeted the news of Brewster's appointment with indignation. Reverend Cristobal Cardozo, leader of the Dominican Evangelical Fraternity, openly referred to the appointment of the gay ambassador as an insult to good Dominican customs. In an address to the Dominican Senate, the United Left movement also expressed concern at the appointment. The rationale is obvious. The people who sent Brewster have not taken into account the cultural practices and religious principles of the Dominican people. But appointing an ambassador who could understand good Dominican customs or mesh well with the cultural practices and religious principles of the Dominican people does not appear to have been President Obama's goal. In fact, before leaving for his post in the Dominican Republic, Brewster married Bob Satterwhite and they traveled to Santo Domingo as husband and husband. The ceremony took place just hours after Vice President Joe Biden swore Brewster in. When both Catholics and Protestants objected to his appointment, the embassy issued a statement assuring everyone that there was nothing to be concerned about. Daniel Foote, the official spokesman for the U.S. Embassy in the Dominican Republic, told the Associated Press that Brewster was chosen because of his skills as an international businessman and his ideas on democracy and human rights, and that Brewster arrives as an ambassador. He's not coming here as an activist for the gay community. That promise was soon shown to be false. Besides showing up with his husband in tow, Brewster almost immediately began behaving like the activist for the gay community that he is, as the New York Times recently reported. Shortly after taking up his post as American ambassador to the Dominican Republic in November 2013, Wally Brewster got a bit of unsolicited advice from the Vatican's envoy to the Caribbean nation. If you keep your private life behind the walls of your embassy, you'll be okay here, Nuncio Jude Thaddeus Okolo told Mr. Brewster. He meant that Mr. Brewster, to be an effective diplomat, would be wise to keep his husband, Bob Satterwhite, out of sight in a country where prejudice against gay people remains widespread. The advice went unheeded. Mr. Brewster and Mr. Satterwhite, who have been together for nearly 28 years, have been out and proud in Santo Domingo, sparking a spirited debate that has galvanized the nation's fledgling gay rights movement and outraged local leaders of the Catholic Church. Brewster also produced a video for the embassy's website to introduce his husband to the Dominican people. In the video, he says, "My spouse, Bob, and I have traveled the world, from the far reaches of Asia to the stunning coastlines of southern Europe. But we always return to the beauty of the Dominican Republic." He also speaks of his belief in God and the values of love and tolerance that he learned from his parents, saying, "My parents taught me that all people deserve respect, dignity, love and opportunity. They also instilled in me a strong belief in God, and the values of love and tolerance." Bob and I bring those beliefs and values with us as we come to the Dominican Republic. We are both thrilled to be coming back to our second home. Not much of an attempt to keep it low-key. So, rather than take the advice of people who understand the good Dominican customs and the cultural practices and religious principles of the Dominican people and keep the promise to focus on the particulars of his job and not act as an activist for the gay community, Brewster began agitating for gay rights. His actions did not go unnoticed. Father Luis Rosario, a Catholic priest, voiced the opinions of both Catholics and Protestants in the Dominican Republic when he told CNN, "He has not considered the particularities of our people," adding, "The United States is trying to impose on us marriage between gays and lesbians as well as adoption by these couples." Undeterred, Brewster pressed on. As the Times reported, soon after arriving, Mr. Brewster and Mr. Satterwhite, who had been active in the gay rights movement in the United States, hosted a small group of Dominican activists at their residence. At the time, the very few resources gay rights groups on the island had came from HIV prevention initiatives, and they didn't have a strategy to press for legal or societal reforms. And these activities were not merely personal activism on the part of Brewster. They were part of his official duties as directed by the president. Brewster instructed the embassy to begin funding homosexual activist groups as part of the State Department's initiative to advance equality for gay and transgender people around the world, according to the Times. It has not been all sunshine and rainbows for the homosexual lobby in the Dominican Republic, however, as the online journal of the Strategic Culture Foundation reported. Not all of the ambassador's initiatives are proving successful, however. The country's Ministry of Tourism, for example, did not embrace the vision put forward by the U.S. Embassy of Tourism marketed to LGBT persons from the U.S. with a projected profit of up to $1.5 billion. Brewster complained to friends that the Dominican people were incapable of doing basic math, since the majority of gay tourists are among the most solvent, which would prove extremely profitable for the Dominican Republic. Even with this minor setback, the experiment in social engineering has paid off for the Obama administration and the homosexual lobby. As of last month, the embassy helped establish an alternative chamber of commerce for the LGBTQ community, and for the first time ever, openly practicing homosexuals are running for office in the Dominican Republic. Considering the success of this experiment, it is likely that similar appointments will follow with similar results. In fact, the Obama administration has identified the protection of LGBTQ rights as a priority of U.S. foreign policy and, as the Strategic Culture Foundation wrote, U.S. State Secretary John Kerry is giving the issue his utmost attention. The post of Special Envoy for the Human Rights of LGBT persons has been created under his personal supervision, to which the American diplomat and homosexual Randy Berry has been appointed. He has stated that he intends to fervently defend the interests of LGBT persons in Latin America, primarily in countries not known for their tolerance of sexual minorities. Not content with the perversion of America, the homosexual lobby, with the help of the Obama administration, has an agenda to drape the world in the rainbow flag. And it seems to be the official foreign policy of the United States to use deceptive appointments of homosexual activists as ambassadors to make sure that